This Jocks 94.5 podcast is brought to you by Millennium Satellite and Video. Log on to msbnow.com. TV excellence everywhere. That's Millennium. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning starts now.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to get to Zach Barnett of Football Scoop here in just a moment. Continue talking Auburn play calling. Before we do that, we know who calls the plays at Bromberg's, Greg.
Well, they're the very best. And basically, you know who calls the plays? That's the customer. You just have a better experience when you go shop at Bromberg's. That elevated experience. The jewelry is timeless, absolutely beautiful jewelry. And if you look at just everything that is kind of surrounding the Bromberg experience, it's only going to get better with the renovation that's currently going on at the Mountain Brook store. It really is. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like because I already thought the experience was elevated beyond what I could have imagined. And now it's going to be even better. So highly recommend you go and check out Bromberg's in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit. You can also check them out online at brombergs.com.
All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in Zach Barnett of Football Scoop. This article we were referencing a little bit earlier, written by Zach, referencing the Auburn play calling. Now, for me, Zach, there's an easy out here. And the easy out is contractually how Derek Nix left Ole Miss, the stipulations that were still in that contract, and this coaching staff kind of trying to work around that to allow legally him not to be sued, I guess. Could it be that easy of a solution for you? Or do you still see mass discombobulation with how this operation is working on that side of the football?
I'll say that wouldn't be the first time in college football. I remember Joe Wickline, when he left, I believe it was Oklahoma State for Texas, he had to have an offensive coordinator title. I don't believe any play calling was working into his contract, but he had to have the offensive coordinator title. So Sean Watson was technically the quarterback's coach, but everyone knew he was calling the plays. So wouldn't be the first time. Having said that, I've never seen an arrangement, at least described outwardly as convoluted as this one. To be sure, basically every single coaching staff in America collaborates on game plan. I'm not aware of a single offensive coordinator or head coach that emerges from a dark room after 48 hours with the game plan written onto two stone tablets. Like it's always a team effort, but I've never heard an arrangement of this person is calling first down, this person's calling third down. Is it maybe worked similarly other places? We just never heard it described to this degree. Sure, but I can't think of another arrangement where you have basically three quarterbacks trying to throw the football here.
It doesn't sound like an arrangement that is going to work real well.
Listen, Todd Berry put two quarterbacks on the field at the same time at ULM.
Oh.
It can be done, okay? It can happen.
I've heard
one was
that.
right-handed, one was left-handed, by the way, so it worked out perfect.
Could roll
You're
in either
always
direction.
throwing to your open side there.
Love that. You would like to think that Division I football, you could find a right-handed quarterback that can throw on the run to the left, but maybe those guys are harder to find than you realize. Zach, some of the only thing that concerns me about this is not that it could be a cover-up. I don't really care about that. If it is, that's great. That's contractually working on things. I'm fine with that. What concerns me, though, is that last year there was a lot of finger-pointing, and there was a lot of the blame game being played at Auburn, where it's the quarterback's fault. Oh, it's this guy's fault. It's that guy's fault. And there's the ownership was kind of lacking at times. That's my only fear here. And I feel like now when you have the play calling responsibilities divvied up, if they're 1 for 12 on third down, now all of a sudden Kent's going to get an earful and they're going to say, it's kind of deflecting blame onto that. Like, at what point does that become problematic for the team's culture?
That's a great point. And then, you can even go further and, if it's 3rd and 10, that's kind of a first down. We got a lot of 1st and 10 plays we like. Let's go with our first down play sheet. You can go deep into this wormhole as you want. And I think you're asking the ultimate question, Greg, is who has ownership over this and who's ultimately the best man to actually call these plays? If it's Hugh Freeze, I understand there may be contractual questions here, but if it's Hugh, then have Hugh call it. There's plenty of successful head coaches that call their own plays. I mean, at the NFL, almost half of them do. If it's not Hugh, then Hugh needs to trust the guys that he's hired to do the job to actually do the job. And if the really my question, my biggest worry for Auburn is that Kent and Derek Nix are going to be calling plays that, if it's their turn to call a play, are they calling the play in that situation that they think is the best, or are they calling the play that they think Hugh wants them to call? Sometimes those are going to be the same. Sometimes they might not be. And so I think if we're playing this game of keep away, so to speak, that's my biggest question. And it boils down to what you alluded to at the beginning, is just ownership. Where's the buck stop with this offense?
It's an interesting point. Do you get to where you're essentially trying to call plays not to be overridden, just to prove yourself right to the head coach, as opposed to doing what's best for the football team and trying to win? All those things can creep into your head mentally when you're trying to do something like that. What's another example you have of anything close to this? Maybe even just from an input standpoint, coaches you've spoken to, staffs you've spoken to, where, hey, we lean on our running back coach, Coach McElroy, on first downs. Whether it's opening a drive, whether it's in the middle of a drive, middle of the game, late in the game, whatever that is, like, I go to him and I at least get his idea, and then we go from there. Or, our wide receiver coach, Coach Saber, he gives us third down ideas. I lean on him for our third down ideas no matter what. It might not be the play call, but at least from a communicative standpoint, that's how it operates. Do you have anything close to that you can at least point to or reference?
I know a lot of staffs, I think kind of your similar division of labor is you might have your offensive line coach. He's in charge of red zone. And so that
short
doesn't
yardage.
That doesn't necessarily mean when you cross the 20 that he's got the ox, so to speak, to call the plays, but he's designing the call sheet for the red zone. And then that gets uploaded or put onto the call sheet, and you're choosing from the menu that he selected, and obviously presented to the offensive coordinator or the head coach. But he's done the film work, the study, and selected the 8, 10, 12 plays that are going to work best in the red zone. A certain guy will have third downs. A certain guy will have drive starters. But they're ultimately presented among the group and then presented to the offensive coordinator, the play caller. He gives his okay. And so maybe he didn't arrange every single one on there, but he's the one ultimately calling every single play, but with heavy input from the rest of the staff. I think that's the most typical arrangement of how this work is usually divided.
Looking at Hugh, I think he's got the support of the big money boosters. I do. I think he's got great support there. I think he's done a good job of nurturing those relationships, and those are the guys that ultimately make the call. Now, those guys traditionally have been a little bit unpredictable and can turn in an instant. So where exactly does he land right now, as far as the support within the biggest decision makers in the program from your vantage point?
I think I agree. I mean, he was himself come out and said that we need to win this year. I think I'm not going to give you a number because it always depends on how that number is arrived at. But I know that 5 or 6 is not the number that anyone at Auburn has in mind. And I think ultimately it boils down to how Jackson Arnold performs this year, because Oklahoma essentially put him on the trash heap, and Hugh stumbled by and said, "I can turn this guy into something." And if Jackson Arnold plays like the guy everybody thought he was going to be coming out of high school, including me. I mean, I saw him play in high school, and my reaction was they need to get this guy off the field. He's too good to be playing high school football. He was dominant when I saw him play. So I was surprised by his struggles at Oklahoma. But, I mean, he was a disaster at Oklahoma, frankly. Took too many sacks, turned the ball over way too often. If he's still that guy at Auburn, then he's probably getting fired. A, because the team didn't win well enough, and B, because his calling card offense, he's proven that he either made the wrong decision in terms of who he recruited, or his player development chops aren't where they need to be to win at Auburn. Now, if Jackson Arnold plays like the 5-star recruit that he was, Auburn wins 8, 9, 10 games, and we're not even discussing Q's job security.
Zach, I wasn't going to ask you this or kind of go down this path when you joined the show, but I mean this with all sincerity. Does that make Jackson Arnold individually the most important player in college football to sort of all of it? Like how everything goes? I mean, maybe John Mateer is in this discussion because I think Venables could be in a similar spot if things don't go well there, but it almost feels like this has even more ramifications because of some of the reasons you outlined.
Yeah, Mateer was going to be the other one that I was going to name, simply because Oklahoma has installed such a power structure that is so independent of Brent Venables that they could eject him and they could fire Brent Venables and even keep Ben Arbuckle. Like, that wouldn't be the most shocking outcome to me. I think, they have basically Randall Stevenson's basically the AD now, who got there after Brent, and Brent certainly didn't have any input in hiring. They have Jim Nagy, who I'm not going to say Brent protested his hiring in any way, but I don't think Brent. It was a situation where, hey, we're going to hire this guy, not who do you think we should hire? It's we're hiring this guy. So all of that infrastructure is going to exist whether Brent Venables is the head coach or not. So he obviously went out and got Arbuckle and Mateer. So I think, to answer your question, I think those two quarterbacks are most tied to their head coaches of anyone in college football.
Zach, we appreciate the time this morning. Great stuff kind of laying this out. Great job on the article as well. We look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Sounds good. Anytime.
There you go. Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com. Find his work there. Has an article out about this play calling situation at Auburn. How problematic do you think it is? 800-239-9569. 800-239-WJOX. Is it along the lines of what potentially could mean down the road, the fact that it's being discussed publicly the way that it is, or do you look at this, turn the page, and say, it's the way it's been, Hugh's going to run it the way he runs it, and I'm not worried about it? You can text into the show, 205-834-9450. You can also tweet into the show, @MacandCube. We'll continue this discussion next right here on Jocks.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, and three-man front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.